So here we are at another Biorenewable Health Network podcast, and today we are here with the inventor of a device that is wonderful, Marvin Berman, and we're going to talk all about that. He is also the head of the QuietMIND Foundation. So welcome to our little cozy corner. And
great to be here.
Good. It's good to have you. Good that you stumbled upon us completely by accident at the first Biorenewable Health Fair that we had. He wandered through the parking lot and saw the things that we had here and said, wait a second, I'm not going to retire. I'm going to start over again.
That is pretty much what happened.
So tell us who you are, where you come from, your humble beginnings till where you became an inventor.
Okay. Well, Grady, thanks for having me. I started this journey 20 some odd years ago, more than that actually, but it was learning about body-centered psychotherapy. And I was training in that for quite a while, and I was interested in the mind-body problem. And one of the things that I had been focused on was that Freud, remember him, he was the one who talked about the unconscious having something to do with the way the body functioned. One of his disciples was a guy named Wilhelm Reich. And Reich was, again, a biologist and very interested in psychiatry at that time. And Reich was the one who really started to focus more on how the body and the mind went together in the context of psychoanalysis. He was the one who worked with those people who had paralysis from trauma, hysterical paralysis. Mm-hmm. And what he did was he took a voltmeter. Now, this is a 1925 voltmeter with those big alligator clips. This was not pleasant.
Frankenstein style.
Really Frankenstein. But what he did was he put the voltmeter on the shoulder muscles of these people who were stuck in the women in a paralysis. Mm-hmm. And he measured the voltage. Then he had the people lie down and do psychoanalysis, right? And they were talking about their history and free associating, and then all of a sudden they would come upon the trauma, they would remember the trauma that occurred, and they would have an abreaction. They would have feelings come up, and they would discharge those feelings. Reich then took the voltmeter, put it back on the same spot, and he saw that the voltage had gone up. That was the point where he said, oh, wait a minute. Libido, which is what Freud was calling it, it's not a concept. It's a real measurable, physical, bioelectrical phenomenon. Hey, wait a minute. This all goes together.
Right.
Reich then developed a whole approach to psychotherapy, Reichian analysis, which is now the main center of it is up here in Princeton. But I, not being a medical doctor, I had just had a PhD. I went and trained at the institute that took over for Reich's work, which was, again, in New York at the Institute for Bioenergetic Analysis. Well, there was a branch of that in Philadelphia. So I went into training in that approach to psychotherapy, and then I worked at the Bioenergetic Institute in Philadelphia for 15 years. While I was in practice, a couple of people came to me who I'd been working with for years, and the one guy, he came in and said, you know, everything's really going great and life is good. And I've been working with him for, 3-5 years. He was like, oh, you know, things are really good and my life is great and I feel great, but you know, sometimes things don't click. And he did this. So me being kind of a smart ass, but still wanting to be clear, I was like, well, wait a minute, what's this in English? Oh, you know, I have to read things sometimes 3 times. Sometimes the letters, they move around on the page, and I'm like, what? So, and I just got into an attitude of countertransference. I'm like, what, you got hit in the head? And the guy goes, what, you mean like a car accident? No, I never had a car accident. I'm like, time out. That's not what I asked you. Did you ever get hit in the head? Oh, when I was 3, I fell down the basement steps. Oh, Well, and then I rode my bike down a hill and I hit a brick wall. Oh, yeah, and Johnny hit me with a baseball bat when we were playing. I'm like, wait, whoa. You're not neurotic. You have a brain injury.
Right.
Hold it. This is no longer psychology. What do I do now?
Yeah, you're talking about damage.
Like real, this is like So I said, well, what do I do now? Because this is like, I can't do my job anymore.
Right.
So luckily, I had a friend, now passed, and he was doing biofeedback. And he was doing biofeedback with kids with ADD. And he was doing it with some researchers in the Southwest. And he had been developing these games and things, and I knew he was into biofeedback with brain activity. So I was like, let me give him a call. Hi, do you have any way to deal with trauma in the brain? Oh yeah, meet me in Florida for the conference. We're both going to this conference. Meet me in Florida and we'll go over what I have. Okay, so we spent the better part of 3 days locked in a hotel room, Key West. Edit that out. We went to Key West, and he had this gizmo, right, with glasses, with blinking lights, and an EEG, and a Windows 95 tower. I mean, that's how far back this goes. So he shows me how to use this stuff. I pack all this stuff up. I go back to Philadelphia, and I get this guy, and I start doing the thing that he showed me to do. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I know how to do it. It's very straightforward. 6, 7 sessions. The guy comes back and goes, okay, well, that's over. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, it's not happening anymore. I'm fine. I said, what do you mean? Oh, yeah, the letters aren't moving, and my memory's fine, and everything's great. Thank you. I'm like, what?
What just happened?
Yeah. He's like, okay. And I was like, oh, okay, fine, whatever. I put it in the closet. Because now it's like, oh, when somebody has a head trauma, I do whatever the hell that was. Great. Another woman comes in. She has a car accident. She's got a concussion. And she's like, oh, yeah, this is really bad. I was like, I know what to do. I get the thing. I do the treatment. 5 or 6 sessions. She's fine. The neurologist doesn't understand what happened, but what do I know?
Right.
It's like, okay, great. Then, I don't know, 6, 8 weeks later, they both come back. The funny thing, I went to my allergist. He took me off Theophylline, said I don't have asthma anymore. Yeah, that's nice. No. It was that thing we did. What?
How did you make that connection?
And I went, wait, what are you talking about? He's like, the only thing that's any different between then and now is that thing that we did for 6 sessions, and now my asthma's gone. Get another phone call, the woman with the concussion. The funniest thing, I went to my allergist, and he cut my Theophylline in half. He said, my asthma is so much better. Well, this is the horse concept.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right? So I'm like, okay, I think I better look into this a little further.
Yeah.
So that led to exploring what neurofeedback really is. Mm-hmm. And that what we're doing is renormalizing central nervous system functioning from top to bottom. Oh, so now I just start learning all of this stuff and realize I have to retool myself.
Right.
In electrophysiology and neurophysiology.
Because now you've learned an entirely different concept of what behaviors are or what output you get. That was something that you had said to me when you introduced me to this helmet. And like everybody else, I say, okay, what does it work for? And what did you say? Wrong question.
Wrong question.
Right.
Because it became clear that what we were doing was intervening at the level of central nervous system efficiency of functioning. Mm-hmm. And what we were doing was renormalizing, which another way of putting it is making more efficient central nervous system activity at the very basic fundamental level.
Right.
So then the question becomes, if the symptom or the syndrome or the disorder that you're describing symptomatically, if it is in any way mediated by the central nervous system, well, then the question is what's not going to improve? Because if we're making it more efficient,
should get better.
It's going to get better.
So for people who don't understand the nerve very well, and this is kind of where I find myself being pretty good at, is explaining how things function based on something everybody else already knows. So if you have muscles that aren't working right, the output is, I can't climb a flight of stairs.
Right.
You don't go to somebody and call them lazy, you're not climbing stairs, because the output isn't good.
Right.
But what you do is you say, well, your muscles must be weak, let's strengthen the muscles. So your muscles get more efficient at doing the work, whether you're using more of the fibers or the fibers themselves get stronger,
right,
or you build more fibers. Either way, you've improved the physiology of the organ.
Right.
So you're looking at something now that could potentially say, well, let's fix the organ instead of just working on the behavior.
And so it's an intervention at the level of the system's functioning.
Mm-hmm.
It's systemic functioning, not some molecule that needs to hit a particular receptor.
Right.
Right. So that's the pharmacological model.
Right. And that's the difference.
The
yeah, that's the difference with nerves, is there's that chemical mediator at the end of them that throws people for a loop, but
right,
you have to go back to the fact of, look, it knows how to do what it does. I don't go in there and try to fix your actin and myosin in your muscles and the cross-bridging linking that happens when you do an exercise. The muscle knows how to do it. The nerve knows how to do it.
Right.
Let's just give the nerve what it needs so we can do a better job of it.
And again, and what it needs is energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so any system, the analogy that I use usually with guys is the car analogy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I say you're going to get one kind of gas mileage when your carburetor and your idle speed are one way, and you're going to get a whole different kind of gas mileage when it's something else.
Efficiency. Yep.
So what we're doing is tuning the carburetor, and we're tuning the engine so that you're functioning in the optimal or most efficient way.
Right. Right.
All right. So in that situation, what we want to do initially, because we know that anybody with any kind of dysregulation is going to be functioning at a suboptimal level of efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, it only stands to reason that their gas mileage, their energy consumption is going to be less than optimal.
Right.
They're going to run out of brain gas quicker.
Right.
There lies the problem of how do you intervene. So if what you then do is say, okay, now take this drug, do this exercise, chant this mantra, assume this yoga, if you're going to make them do something different, you're then asking them to use up what they already don't have enough of quicker.
Right.
So my point of view was, why don't we make sure that we're putting more gas in the tank
Mm-hmm.
before we make a demand on people? All right, so that's what the neurofeedback can do. The neurofeedback can give people an idea or feedback about what a more efficient way of functioning is, right? It can point them in the direction, but it doesn't push.
Mm-hmm.
That way of doing things is still energetically deficient, because what we're doing with neurofeedback, right, is we're connecting people electrically, and we're then measuring their brain activity, identifying where the abnormal pattern of activity is, and then giving them feedback about what would be a more efficient way to go,
Mm-hmm.
using reward conditioning. That's still at the level of electrical activity. It's still not an energetic intervention.
Right.
So
right.
that's
again,
where
you're teaching them a more efficient way to behave, but
Right.
it's still modifying behavior.
it's teaching people to fish rather
Right.
than giving them a fish, sure, but it's not
Right.
actually consuming more fish.
Right.
Okay, fish oil, fish. Okay. So where this all led me in the story was I the guy one of the people that I was taking care of and working with doing the biofeedback, he was a very wealthy philanthropist in Philadelphia. But he was a hardcore biochemical, agricultural biochemist. So there was no touchy-feely about him at all. One day, I get an email from him. The subject line is, "What the hell is this?" And there's a link to the Daily Mail in London. You know what the Daily Mail is?
Yeah.
It's like the Inquirer.
Tabloid, yeah.
This guy is reading, like, wait, what? Oh, God, he must be desperate. What was he in the grocery store?
Right.
I get the article, I open it up, and it's these three guys, two of them in lab coats, one guy in a suit holding what looks like half of a bowling ball, right, with fans stuck on it. And the headline is, UK researchers reverse dementia using infrared light. Oh, okay, he's desperate.
Mm-hmm.
And then I start reading the article and I go, oh, wait a minute. This is an article about a paper published in the British Journal of Neuroscience. This is not an article written by the,
Right.
Now I go to the journal, now I read the paper, now I read all the references, and I'm like, oh, these guys aren't kidding. And the people who did it are really not kidding. They're like the MIT of the European Union.
Mm-hmm.
In electrophysiology and pharmacology, they're like up there. Okay, so I go back to the guy and I say, I can't punch a hole in what they did. Do you want me to go get one? He had a lot of zeros after his name. See if they'll come here. Okay, hi. You don't know me, but would you bring your gizmo to Villanova, Pennsylvania? I want to put it on this lady's head. 6 weeks later, we're in Villanova, and we do neuropsych testing before. We put the helmet on her head. It's not this one, it was an earlier version, but we put it on her head. 6 minutes, twice a day. That's it. Put the helmet on your head, push the button, and 6 minutes later, you're done. So I've got a research assistant who's doing the morning. I'm doing the afternoon. Mornings, 2.5 weeks in, Ashley comes to me in tears. What's the matter? Oh my God, I can't believe it. She was so upset. They got into such a fight. What? Oh yeah, no, it was unbelievable. He was like, and she was yelling at me, and she's, I said, what? Oh, she was saying, like, where do you get off, making these decisions about when we're going to go see our son in Oregon? I'm like, whoa, time out. This lady has primary progressive aphasia.
She doesn't know she has a son.
She can't string three words together. Did she say all that at once? Oh, they were arguing for five minutes. I'm like standing there with my mouth open, the phone rings.
Mm-hmm.
It's the guy. Hi. Oh my God, I can't believe it. She was so pissed. I got my wife back. Click.
I'm so happy I got my angry wife back.
But
you got her back.
And and I'm standing there looking at the phone. Like, what?
Which is
and then it clicked.
Mm-hmm.
The light was filling the gas tank. The neurofeedback had tuned the engine, but the gas tank was empty.
Full. Yeah, now it's full.
Boom.
And what do I always say when I use the infrared lights? What is light? Light is energy from the sun. Plants use it.
Yep.
What the hell makes you think we don't use it?
Exactly.
We're walking, we're talking, we're
converting,
just able to move.
Right.
But why wouldn't we do the same thing?
We're converting sunlight,
yeah,
just like the plants. So, but we're using that little bacteria from 25 or so million years ago, right? The mitochondria.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happening. The mitochondria are absorbing this particular wavelength, which is 1,070 nanometers. It's in the kind of 1,000, like 10, 20 to about 1,100 nanometers when you're using LED light. It's absorbing those photons of energy, and it's increasing the speed at which the ATP motor is putting out adenosine triphosphate, which is the chemical gasoline for everything.
Yep.
Then it started to make sense. Fill the gas tank, support the system energetically, and then renormalize the brain.
Still have to do the exercise, but who's going to exercise when you have an empty tank? It's
almost
impossible.
You're only going to get so far. Right.
Yeah.
So then what I did was do the research to show, and I had study partners at the University Texas A&M and their hospital affiliate, Baylor Scott and White Hospital in Texas. So the Department of Neurosurgery in Temple, Texas, with Dr. Jason Wang and Damir Nizmutnov. Those are my study partners in Texas. We did a trial with 100 subjects. They did 60, I did 40, and we published on the first 60 in the journal Aging and Disease. And what we showed back in 2021, we showed that people who took the device home, who we had done quantitative EEG brain measures and neuropsych testing, we sent them home with the helmet, showed them how to do it, monitored them for compliance, and they did 2 sessions a day, 6 minutes each, so 12 minutes a day for 2 months. We tested them at the beginning, the middle, and the end of the 2 months. And we had subjects who had both early to mid-stage Alzheimer's type dementia, but there's also a subgroup that had Parkinsonian dementia, and they had Parkinson's disease, and they probably had Alzheimer's or some form of dementia. And so we put them through this trial, and when we came back with the data, we showed that there was almost a 5-point increase in 2 months on the mini mental status exam, and there were significant improvements in the Parkinson's symptoms of all the people who were in the cohort that had Parkinson's. So we published that, and that became clear that just putting the light, no other
neurofeedback, any of that kind of stuff as well, right?
But what we also saw was in the quantitative EEG measurements, the connectivity, the actual brain network connectivity did not improve as much as the efficiency, the decreasing of the amplitude, the excess inefficient activity. So the inefficiency in power, right, or amplitude or energy consumption, that improved significantly. The connectivity, that didn't improve so much. So it became clear that the connectivity is the target for the neurofeedback.
Right. Yeah, because that piece was missing. Yeah.
So it all started to bear out logically.
And that also makes sense. How much you're doing is fuel. Which way you're going is training. So neurofeedback for the connectivity, infrared light energy for the ability to do the work.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you go through years and years and years to do something and go, seriously?
That's it.
Is that simple? Put fuel in the car, steer it the right direction, it works better.
Get the tires aligned.
Get the thing aligned and tuned, duh.
Okay, so here we are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So now what I did was take that information and then find a manufacturer who would not only put 1070 nanometer light into the headset, but also allow me to control the front, the back, the left, and the right.
Feed the spots that need it.
And to be able to then use the quantitative EEG measurement to program each of the areas to begin that idea of modifying the EEG activity, because we know that pulsing light on the scalp does in fact influence EEG activity. So now what we're working toward is being able to have the EEG, the brain mapping, in the helmet
built right in
real time. So then we can use the real-time measurement of brain activity change to then drive the way in which we're delivering the light.
Yeah.
So that's where we are.
And again, simple system, simple idea, simple concept, simple usage.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're talking a couple of minutes a day.
It can be now, say up to, it can even be 20 minutes. It could even be a little bit more.
if you have these issues
Right.
and you don't have 20 minutes a day, then you're not caring. So
Okay.
help yourself.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's from a if I have the symptoms and I want to do something about it point of view. If I'm in my mother and my father both, maybe I want to do something about not ending up in that
Correct.
situation. So now,
Take care of the car before it falls apart.
what about maintenance?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So if I can then do something like, in optometry they call it an OCT exam, the computerized tomography, where you stick your chin in the blue circle, that. So if you can take that picture of your retina and somebody can read the amount of beta amyloid that's deposited on your retina, and they can predict the onset of dementia symptoms 10 to 15 years
ahead of time.
Well, now you're in a whole different situation.
Yeah.
So that's what I and Dr. Dale Bredesen, who's written a couple of books about the end of Alzheimer's, that's the name of the book, The End of Alzheimer's Program. Dr. Bredesen really is looking at many different avenues for intervening on dementia, from the pharmacological and lifestyle and diet and nutrition, all the different functional measures. And he, was looking at functional medicine from the perspective of what can we do for people to prevent and or reverse the neurodegenerative or inflammatory processes that are going on. How can we do that? And he's published a number of studies and is now doing an even bigger study. And some of the people in the study are familiar with the Neuradiant. But the idea is that if you take functional medicine and you then eliminate the toxins, the Lyme disease in many cases, the different kinds
heavy
of
metals,
all of that, mold toxicity. If you look at just those things and eliminate those things, and then put more gas in the tank that's clean gas, and then you renormalize the connectivity back to its optimal EEG-based functioning, well, now you're in a whole different position. And one of the things that Professor Paul Chazot at Durham University, who was the guy in London, what he showed was that this type of stimulation actually confers protection against further injury.
Sure.
So stimulating the neurons with this kind of light actually is neuroprotective as well as rehabilitative or healing. It's amazing all the different things that it can do. So here we are.
How does someone get this device? What would be the process that you would recommend for people to start using this, or at least testing to see if it's going to be of a benefit for them? Because like I said, not everybody's tank is empty. They might be steering completely wrong, and then
that's a whole other thing. So the research group that I founded back in 2000 is called QuietMIND Foundation, and the website is QuietMindFDN for foundation.org, right? And we have this device and other devices that we're using. We're using an intranasal device, which of course it's
charging up. We'll put a picture of it on it.
But the foundation is committed to doing the research and promoting those products that actually fit into this idea of non-invasive, non-drug, self-administered, safe, reliable interventions that people can do that are cost-effective, that they can do themselves at home. That's our whole point of view. You can do the neurofeedback at home. You can do the photobiomodulation at home. You need guidance, sure, but we have Google Meet, we have Zoom, we have ways of doing that.
And you've got devices now coming out that you can send to people, hook it up, run it themselves. You get all the information back through the cloud and can set it all up to keep on practicing at home.
And it's critical because when you start to count up the number of people who actually need this sort of help, we're talking about everybody with Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, or dementia, and traumatic brain injury. Worldwide, that's 150 million people. If you add to that, the research says somewhere between 10 and 27% of everyone who's gotten COVID regardless of severity, is going to develop some degree of neurological injury.
Right.
Well, now we're looking at 200 million more people.
Right.
That's 350 million people worldwide who really need to be doing something like this.
Yep.
Whose office are they going to go to?
Right. Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. You luckily got people to come out from Germany to show up one day, but that doesn't happen on a regular basis. Yeah.
We've had people come from all over the world to do this, but we've also lucked out because we had our colleagues in Europe who could promote this. I started a company in Germany, and now that company called Neuronic, that company is now marketing the device that I developed. Neuradiant is the trademark that we have within QuietMIND. Neuradiant's trademark for us. But we're now working with other companies that are promoting this type of technology, the Neuradiant technology. They have it under a different name. It's called NeuroMatrix. It's the same device. The software is a little more advanced because it's now the next generation of software. But the technology is the same at this point. There are other companies that are now, because of what we've been able to do, there are now other companies that are thinking about how to improve on this model.
Right.
And I'm very anxious to work with them within the foundation because we're a 501c3 nonprofit. I don't care whose name is on it.
Right.
I only care that
you
it
want
produces.
the research
I want
and
the
get
research,
the answers.
and I want the result. So I don't care. But we're moving into an era now where we're going to have several different platforms of technology all focused on being able to deliver the light in more and more efficient ways. The neurofeedback technology is already developed. It's been around for 60, 70 years. It's covered by Medicare. And the quantitative EEG is well established. It's admissible in court. I mean, these are standardized technologies. Right. So it's now being able to bring all of those technologies together, right? Deliver them in the safest, most reliable, most cost-effective way. So we're now able to offer the combined technology with two separate sets of equipment that we can send to people's homes. And the equipment here is going to run about $3,000, the photobiomodulation. The home neurofeedback is going to be about $2,000, $2,500, and that's, you own it, right? The only other thing that you need from us is the quantitative EEG, which we can do for maybe $250 if you can't get insurance to pay for it. And we can then monitor your progress all remotely. So we get the data, I can analyze it, we get on Google Meet or Zoom, we can review the data and see how far you've come, where you need to do more work, and then we can reprogram because it's touchscreen. Just they become my finger.
Yep. Very easy.
And that's it. And we just keep going.
So what are any of the side effects that come with this? How do you know if this is something they don't need or it's too much fuel in the tank, it's overflowing?
So that's why I think that all of the photobiomodulation that people are doing with the panels and the saunas and this and that, when they don't have guidance from somebody who knows what they're doing and how to avoid the pitfalls. And there's a lot of good information out there about how to avoid, overstimulation. With this, it really comes down to something pretty simple. It's either you're feeling dizzy, sleepy, a little headache, irritable, anxious, or congested, like stuffy. Those are the things that we tell people to watch out for as they're beginning to use the technology. Again, we've got quantitative EEG information, we've got physiological, we've got medical input, we've got a full intake that we've done a full history with people. So it's a much different situation when we're saying, okay, here, try this, because we can understand how resilient or how sensitive somebody is. We can modify. No, you don't start with 20 minutes. You start with 3 minutes.
Right.
And you work up a minute a week.
Yep.
Where are you going? Where's the rush?
Yeah. And you have it at home. So as long as you're doing it consistently, which is the truth for everything, consistency always works best.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you, for those of people who know me, know that I'm an idiot. And when I get something like this, I do exactly what you're not supposed to do, just to see what the hell it would do. And I did 2 rounds one day. Didn't notice anything in particular, but a little bit later that morning, I went, a little bit of a headache now.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So it is doing things to you, but you don't want to go that far because, like I said, I'm the idiot who does it just to see what it would do to make sure that it's doing something for real.
Right, and so it's really important to have some guidance and some education, but then once you know how to program it, once you know what to look for, if you're just biohacking or looking to take care of yourself, you don't need to keep coming back to me.
Yeah.
But if you've got moderate Alzheimer's, or you've got Parkinson's, or you've got ALS, or you've got a diagnosis,
we've got to hone this in.
Then we should be careful and talk to you about what's going on.
Yeah.
So that we can optimize the health, your brain health, without creating problems you don't need.
And now the 1070 nanometer wavelength.
Yeah.
Why is it that one in particular? Because I have seen helmets out there from other people at the usual red light therapy panels that are doing it with an 850 nanometer or 808 nanometers. Why is that seemingly trivial number different?
Well, there are a couple of reasons, one of which is that the higher the wavelength, the deeper the penetration. So we want to get more light into the brain. So the higher the 1070 wavelength is going to penetrate somewhat deeper. The other thing is that the 1070 is the peak transmission in water. And we know that influencing water in the cells in the body is extremely important because we now are coming to understand that the cellular water has the ability to convey information and contain information. And so we want to influence the efficiency of that information transfer. We want to influence the efficiency and effectiveness of neural communication, right? So we want to make sure that the cells are in their healthiest state because that's going to optimize their ability to communicate. So there's another layer which has to do with the neuroprotection, and the 1070 appears to provide greater neuroprotection. There's another paper that showed that 1070 appears to increase the level of oxygenated hemoglobin and cytochrome C oxidase, which is the chemical, the protein in the mitochondria. And so when this research was done at the University of Texas at Arlington, they showed that the 800 compared with the 1070 was producing 100% more oxygenated hemoglobin and cytochrome C oxidase over the same period of time. They were using laser technology so that measurements were even more accurate. But one of the other things they did was compare the LED against the laser using the 800 nanometers. And what they found was when you turned the laser off, the effect stopped and started to drop. When you turned off the light with the LED, it continued to climb. Why? Because the spread of the light from the LED hit way more mitochondria than a collimated coherent
as they say,
light.
lasers are lasers because they're columns.
And they do something very important, and they can penetrate deeper, but what they're hitting is a much smaller target, which is why you have to move the laser around. Well, now, if you're talking about a home unit and you've got to start moving, and you're talking
compliance
about,
just went out the window,
and the safety issues, it becomes a real issue. Now, again, there are companies that are going to be coming out soon, I think, with laser diodes, and laser diode technology is kind of like splitting the difference a little bit. So we're going to be looking at that and seeing how laser diodes can be used more safely, but also increase the delivery of more light energy. So that's one of the studies that we're going to be working on in the very near future.
I think that point is very interesting because early in physical therapy with lasers, cold lasers, it was the low-level laser kind of technology. They were finding that, these people did great, but these people didn't do anything. And when they tried to recreate the studies, they were getting no results. And I believe 2 things. One is, when is your knee supposed to get infrared light from the sun? It's not. It's supposed to hit your skin. Your skin distributes it like a solar panel and a charged up battery,
Right.
and your joint gets it secondarily. But the laser is also very focused, and your knee joint is kind of big, and if you didn't move it to the right spot, you didn't charge it up right anyway. So I thought there was such faults with the research for that as to why it did or didn't show any effect. But like you said, the light dissipates and covers everything. This all comes from the sun.
Yep.
And the sun has every single wavelength, and it covers everything.
And,
So,
infrared, and near infrared, since we're breaking down the percentages, 85% of the reason there's life on Earth is near infrared, not the others.
yep.
So let's go with the 80-20 rule.
Yes, exactly.
Let's go with the
Stick
80-20
with what
rule.
works, and let's make it simple.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Beautiful.
So what we can now do is program the helmet so that people can get the most benefit, right, with the least amount of problems. And what we're working on now is being able to do it so that people can afford it, right, and not have it be really, really expensive. And so we're working on ways to decrease the price, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to do that over the next year, that we'll be able to get the price down even lower. And what we're also going to do is make our consultation with people on a donation basis. So people
Nice.
can donate to the research fund, and we will provide consultation. We'll do it on Facebook groups, right? So we'll be able to provide consultation to people, and they can share with each other about what works and what doesn't work. But what we're going to focus on is how can you increase your brain's healthy functioning, and also to encourage people to participate in our ongoing research. And we'll be able to do the research all around the country, because the assessments, like you said, we can have the brain
mail it
mapping
to you
right in their house. We can also have the online neuropsych testing. They can do it online. And so we can collect the data very efficiently and very inexpensively. So we're looking for funding for that research. And I think that we're going to be very successful this year in getting a lot more participation.
Yeah, and I think it's an important factor as well is you need an assessment. If you don't know what you're working with, you don't know what to do. And now you're just shooting arrows into space. But it's not super expensive to get the assessment. It's huge, important information that you need to know. Just like any other body part, you need to be checking on it. You can't help your car run efficiently if you don't poke and prod it a little bit to see how it's running in the first place.
Right, and you can now, like those little things you can put in the fuse box and get all kinds of great information.
Yeah.
But then you still have to go to the mechanic.
Do a little bit of work. Yeah.
So,
and again, I think this is something that made a dramatic difference to somebody that we shared in common, who was using the hyperbaric chamber for oxygen and having good results with it. But because he kept going to Florida and coming back here as a snowbird, in Florida he wasn't able to get anything. And several people have seen him use the helmet and turn around and say, what the hell magic is in that thing? It's dramatic.
And people going to Florida makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Right?
More sunlight.
Right. But in order to get the same amount that you would get from this in 6 minutes or 12 minutes, you would have to stand at the equator at noon for a lot of hours.
A lot of hours, yeah.
So
and I just did a study. I had bought a sensor and did all the infrared lights to see how strong they really were.
Right.
And then I went, hey, dummy, go stand outside and see what the sun does, because you have no clue.
That's it.
And two of the lights were stronger than the sun.
Right.
And one of them was stronger than the sun at midday. Now, mind you, it's March in Jersey, so it's not the greatest sun, but I would imagine even in the summer it's not going to get much more than it is, but it will be stronger. But still, from what they say, once you're above that Tropic of Capricorn or Tropic of Cancer, depending on which side of the globe you're on, it's not enough sun. It's not. So.
And we're seeing what happens to people in the higher latitudes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no. So I mean, I recommend people getting the SAD lights, for years and years until I knew about this, and it's like, oh, duh.
Yeah. Let's be more efficient with our fuel. Instead of giving it the Wawa 87 octane, let's give it some high octane.
You know, and the other point that I think is worth making is that the measurements that we take with the brain map, those are the identically same measurements that we're going to use to program the neurofeedback.
Yep.
It's the same thing.
Now,
we can program the neurofeedback training using the quantitative EEG because it's telling us what brain regions are not optimal, what brain amplitude, where there's not enough amplitude, where the functioning is not efficient. So we can then set up the protocol, and people can just do the training at home after they do the light. So this is adding gas to the tank, and the photobiomodulation is doing that. The neurofeedback is then tuning the engine and optimizing performance.
Do you usually set people up with them at the same time, or do you do the light
first
and then... Now, do you find that once you do that, sometimes you don't even need to do the neurofeedback?
Some people really, they get what they need from doing this, and they're happy with that. Some people want to keep going. They need to optimize. And then there are people who are looking for enhancing their performance above normal, right? So elite athletes have been using this kind of technology a lot now. And I mean, Olympic level athletes have been using neurofeedback for 30 years.
Yeah, sports performance is where the money is, so that's where the answers show up. Yeah.
But now we've shown that, people, the NFL teams and all of those people get those beds to lie down in.
Oh, yeah.
So we did a study, we supported a study, the foundation did, of long COVID brain fog. And there were people who were going into the bed, the floor bed, and there were people who were doing this. And they equalized the energy delivery by having 14 minutes in the bed and 14 minutes with this on your head. And everybody was randomly assigned to one of the two conditions. They had been previously diagnosed independently with long COVID brain fog for at least 5 months. Everybody went through the same protocol 3 times a week, 14 minutes each time for 4 weeks. At the end of 4 weeks, all of the people had reverted to baseline or better. Nobody had COVID brain fog.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay.
I see it here all the time. And I tell people, it doesn't take rocket surgery to fix this, but you got to do it consistently for a short amount of time, but consistently. You can't, you don't exercise one day a week. This doesn't work one day a week. So you got to get it. You got to do it.
Right.
I made some questions up for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
You're a pretty damn smart guy. So our trivia isn't always about being smart. So, who is considered the father of psychology?
In the last 2 centuries or further back?
Yeah, last 2 centuries.
Okay.
So this is going back to 1879 is what they said. Now, mind you, I'm doing this through
William James?
Google. Nope. But yes, he's the American father of
sorry.
psychology.
I was being somewhat nationalistic here.
Who's the world version? Not much before him.
Let's try Pavlov.
No.
Okay.
But again, which way do you go? So they said no, but that would have been a good guess. I got Wilhelm Wundt. Because he was the first ever to make a lab to test psychological studies in Germany.
Wilhelm Wundt.
Yep. All right.
Is that the man
Next.
who did the argon?
Argon?
Orgon? No, that's Wilhelm Reich.
Oh.
Right.
Right, he's much later.
That's our lifetime. All right, so this is a fun one that I thought of. Which psychoanalyst could make a better advertisement to sell McDonald's? Freud, Jung, Alfred Adler, Jacques Lacan, or Melanie Klein? Now, first of all, you'd have to know what kind of psychoanalysis they do.
Okay.
And again, this is going by what AI picked, but I like the logic.
I like Freud.
Okay. So Freud would have said, your cravings are subconscious. So his ad would have been, you're not hungry, you're yearning. Feed your id. And AI was like, hey, this is a fun twist. Like, AI had fun playing this game with me.
Well, just parenthetically, Peter Bernays was the father of public relations in America and in the world. Do you know who he was?
Well, we follow a few people who talk about him.
Do you know who Peter Bernays?
Yeah, he was the one that taught us about schools. He set up the schools, and was it Hitler's cousin? Or no, Freud's
nephew.
Yeah.
So rank these in terms of quantity. Nerves in the brain, cell phones in the world, grains of sand on the beach, stars in the universe, nerves in the gut.
Nerves in the gut.
To have what? The most?
Most.
Nope. Wasn't even close. I thought the same thing.
Oh, no, not nerves, bacteria.
Yeah, bacteria is definitely
I'm sorry.
the gut.
No, okay.
But there is a lot of new stuff going around that says there's more nerves in the gut than in the brain. They ain't even close, guys.
No.
It does a lot of work to create
it's
the chemicals used by the brain, but it's not.
No, it's the brain.
Brain definitely has more. But compared to the brain, they say 86 billion nerves in the brain.
Right.
Give or take. How many cell phones in the world do you think? Active subscriptions to cell phones?
3 billion.
8. Because some people have multiples, I guess.
That's right.
Yeah, I was like,
that's right.
Crap.
Right, so if you have 3 people in the house, oh my God.
Yeah. Grains of sand on the beach, they gave 7 septillion. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 7 quintillion.
Quintillion.
And stars in the universe, 1 septillion.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah. Where is serotonin made and where is it used most?
Where is in the gut?
But where does that get used?
Forget.
In the gut itself.
It's in the gut.
So I was surprised. They say 90% is made in the gut, but 90% is also used in the gut. 10% made up in the brain and used by the brain because the serotonin made in the gut won't cross the barrier.
Right.
So it can't get there.
But it's
used for digestion. It's used for all kinds of stuff like that. And then the platelets store some of it. Good. All right. So, last one about lights. Who is credited with figuring out that light, blue light in particular, was capable of influencing people's behavior and using it without the user's knowledge? And used it without the user's knowledge? The casinos.
The casino, right.
Yep. They knew that if you shut the windows, turn on blue lights, and these people will just throw their money at you. Yep. Then they gave them free food because they would leave to go eat. They said, no, here's free food. Alcohol loosened your inhibitions. Yeah, those guys figured it all out. And then the tech guys stole it and are using it to sell advertisement time. Yeah. Pretty shitty.
Yeah. Stephen Colbert does the Colbert questionnaire.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Okay.
So, what is your guilty food pleasure?
Chocolate-covered raisins. Dark chocolate-covered raisins.
Nice. What's the coolest place you've ever been to? Not physically cold, but like the coolest place you've ever been.
I would say Glacier Bay National Park in Alaska.
Nice. Why?
It was literally, I had no frame of reference to compare what I was waking up and looking out the window and seeing.
Yeah, it's another world.
And then to see a 300-foot wall of blue ice that went 18 miles that way between 2 mountains that were rounded because the glacier that was down here used to be up above that, and now it's down here. It's like, and that the water that we were floating on blocked the extra 1,000 feet worth of mountain
Yeah.
that we couldn't even
Couldn't
see.
even see. Yeah.
So that was this past summer, the
Nice.
National Geographic.
Oh, right,
cruise.
right. Yeah, that's right. I forgot you went on that.
And that
Yeah.
was like,
That's awesome.
that was pretty amazing. Okay.
No, I kind of already know this about you, but I think people would like to know this about you. What type of meditation do you like to do?
Tai Chi.
Tai Chi. Yep. We were talking beforehand and looking at your hips and saying, hey, what should I do for my hips? And then you bent over and I went, nothing. Your hips are fine. Like they move, but we're always working on it.
Yeah.
Makes it to where it still works. You have to do the dedicated.
Yeah, I've been doing Tai Chi for 35 years.
Yeah.
And it's been a great source of learning. And I'm not a sit still sort of person. So something I have to be moving, and this is a way of moving without thinking about moving. And so that's been really good.
What's the coolest, aside from this, what's the coolest alternative device you own?
Well, I have something called a mind-machine interface protocol. And it's a device that we're now testing to see how we can learn to measure, measure and then translate human intention into digital output.
Oh boy.
So I've been working on that for about 7 years.
Wow.
And we're working on creating protocols where we can use the EEG to discriminate between people who are already good at it and people who aren't already good at it, and can we train people who aren't really good at it to get good. And so what we're seeing is that we've got a device where you can intend for a robotic arm to pick up something and put it down. Well, that has immediate implications for prosthetics.
Yep.
So, there's lots and lots of other applications, but I'm just thinking about it in terms of how do you hone and measure your own intention and what that can mean. And now with quantum physics taking on a greater and greater visibility and influence in modern science and technology, maybe there's going to be a next wave of how we do brain computer or brain device interface. So.
I think you'll do well with younger kids. That I had mentioned to you about the telepathy tapes with these autistic kids who are non-communicative and being able to read people's minds and do this
so
great stuff. So So if that's the case, then start when they're that age and don't lose the skill.
Yep.
And maybe that'll where you do better.
Well, certainly that's one of the things that we've been working on adding. I have my colleague Jacqueline Boone, who is a Feldenkrais practitioner, and Jacqueline and I are working on how to integrate this with the Feldenkrais method for intervening in muscular dystrophy, CP, all of those kind of conditions, and to optimize movement performance and efficiency, because she's seeing, through her own use of this in her practice in Princeton, we're seeing that there's a direct connection. So
Absolutely.
Jacqueline and I are working on a research project to integrate movement re-education with giving people more effort, more ability.
You're talking about a central nervous system disease process that affects the musculoskeletal system. Your MS, your MDs, your brain injuries, your concussions, all those things have physical effects to them, but feed the central system. 100%.
That's what we're doing.
All right, lightning round.
Okay. There's a lightning.
What do you like better, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Carnivore or vegan?
Carnivore.
Sweet or salty?
Salty.
Meditate or jog?
Meditate.
Cold plunge or sauna?
Cold.
Sound or light therapy?
Light.
More sleep or more exercise?
Sleep.
Beach or bay?
Beach or bay? Bay.
Movie or book?
Wow, that really depends.
Better be
But-
a damn good movie.
Yeah, some really good movies. Yeah, movie.
All right. Cat or dog?
Oh, today, cat.
Why?
That's
why
what we've
is
got.
that?
That's what we've got.
Okay. Sourdough or multigrain?
Ooh, multigrain.
Hiking or biking?
Biking.
Great.
We're done?
We're done.
Okay.
Remind everybody one last time where they can get in touch with you, where they can contact you to set up your qEEG.
Sure. Well, we're working together here at the Hyperbaric Center at Exodus. So I can meet people here. You can reach me at QuietMindFDN.org or info@QuietMindFDN.org. I think that's the simplest way. The website has a consultation, a no-cost consultation form that you can fill out, and we can set up a consult and see how we can be helpful.
Yep. And if anybody wants to see the helmet, I have one here. They can come in, check it out, see what it's about,
Yep.
and then get in touch with you right next door. And
Yep. We have them
Start setting it up.
We have them for rental, though more often than not, what people want to do is try it out and then buy it, which I think is the only way that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you can rent one, and then you can use some of the money that you use for rental to decrease the cost of purchase.
Yep.
Thank you for having
Alrighty,
me.
sir. It's a pleasure. Glad we got it done a year later.
Absolutely. Take care.
All right.
We're out.
Done.